Hey, this is Alexa Peterson with the Hitting Vaults. I'm going to be doing a swing analysis on Jessie Harper. She plays for Arizona and is currently hitting .371 with 21 home runs, which is ranked third in all of NCAA right now. So doing really well. We're going to take a look at a couple of these different swings. Two of these swings were from home runs that she hit in the same game off of Oregon State a couple weeks ago. So we're going to look at these different swings. Starting stance, she's a little bit more over her toes. You can see that her eyes are more over her toes. She has more torso tilt to start with. Some hitters like to start more vertical, but she's starting a little bit more over her toes. She started already her load a little bit right at this point. She's starting to kind of load into that back hip a little bit. Front foot is picking up as that front shoulder is working down and in. Her barrel is working more vertical. So you can see her barrel working a little more up and down, a little bit more up, actually. Her barrel working more vertical there as she picks up that front foot and goes forward. In general, she has a very minimal movement in her swing. For some hitters, that helps a lot to just, with timing, for some hitters, it's easier if they have less movement. Less, vertical movement. Some hitters you see their barrel gets very vertical. Some hitters you see a really high leg kick, but for her, she's really successful with minimal movement and is able to rotate her hips well enough to still have her bat work behind the ball. Both of those working together to create a lot of bat speed, and that's why you're able to see her not being a huge hitter. She's not, 200 pounds, 5'10", but because of how her body turns and the sequence of how her body works, she's able to hit for power, hitting 21 home runs with I think 9 doubles she has so far this season with minimal movement. So she's really does a great job at the sequencing of her hips and then her barrel working behind her. So we're going to see how she kind of does that. But I just wanted to show you how little movement she actually has in her load. And that's not for everyone. Some hitters can have a higher leg kick, greater movement in their load and still be on time. That's perfectly fine as well. She gets to her launch position right here, and you see that she's already picked up that this ball is gonna be an inside pitch. So you see her actually starting to turn a little bit sooner than in some of the other views. You'll see she's actually started to be a little bit more vertical here than where maybe if she was on an outside pitch she might maintain that torso tilt a little bit. She's actually starting to rotate all the way here a little bit more. So see her belt buckle turning towards the pitcher. You can see it. Her belt buckle is essentially at the pitcher right now. We're a little bit on the side angle here on the right side. Her belt buckle is almost at the pitcher, and her bat is still back in her bat lag position. We'll see it from the side angle a little better. But I just wanted to show you how much your hips have to really turn and that barrel work behind you. You can see that bat is still right here. It's not going from that launch position straight down. You actually see that bat go from her load right there. You still see that bat right there with her hips turning. She's turning with her core and her hips, and then that barrel is working behind. It's not because she's pushing her hands towards the ball. Something else you'll notice is how tight she stays. So this enables her to be able to turn really quickly to be able to hit this inside pitch. That bottom hand elbow stays really tight to her body, and that helps get that turn quicker. Whereas on an outside pitch, if this pitch was out here, you would see that bottom hand elbow actually have a greater distance from her torso right there. It would be further. You'd see some space between the elbow and her body if she were hitting an outside pitch. But this enables her to turn quicker to get that barrel out in front to hit this middle end pitch. Let's go to the side view here. Really quiet load, small load, strides forward, small step, gets to that launch position right there. And her shoulders are pretty much equal right now. And I think it's because she was just able to pick up this pitch so early. She was able to gauge the height and the speed and the spin and location of this pitch really quickly. So you're seeing that front shoulder actually start to turn a little bit earlier. That's not something you're always going to see with hitters. hitters that are able to pick up pitches really quickly, you might see them start to stand up a little bit more, or not stand up, but be a little bit more vertical on that inside pitch, starting to drop this shoulder a little earlier than normal if they can pick up that pitch really early. So that's what you're starting to see here. This elbow is already starting to tuck in. And we'll see another view or another pitch angle, and you'll notice that that back elbow actually hasn't dropped yet. So she was just able to pick up this pitch really early in her swing. She's starting to rotate her core and her lower half. Hands staying tight, so her elbow's staying tight to her body, and she's turning. The barrel is turning and going towards the ball because she's rotating her hips, not because she's pushing it. I said that earlier. That's so important. You don't just throw your hands towards the ball. Look at her back foot here. Becoming weightless, moving forward as she's getting closer to contact. At contact, that back foot is weightless. There's no weight in that backside. Front knee's firming up. You actually see that front foot open up as well. That's okay for a hitter to do. That helps them be able to really rotate well for those inside pitches. So you'll see that front foot kind of creep open on some hitters right there. You see that. She's trying to get her hands through, rotating her core well in her lower half. So you'll see that toe kind of open up. It's perfectly fine. Here's a changeup. So she gets to her launch position. She's recognized that this is a changeup right around this time. So you see her actually maintaining that posture a little bit more of not opening up. She's keeping bend in that front knee. And she's by keeping bend in that front knee, that helps her keep her hands back further to be able to hit this changeup for a home run. Still swinging hard. She's not having a weak swing. A lot of hitters will just give up when they see a changeup and just throw their hands toward it. She's sunk into her front side, maintained her posture well, and now she's releasing the barrel, rotating with her core and her hips again. Back foot is becoming weightless still. She gets to that good launch position. She's recognizing right about this time that it's a changeup off speed. And so you see her keep her hands back right here, split second longer, and then she rotates towards the ball. That's a really great job adjusting to that. Hitting is so important to be able to pick up the speed, spin, and location of a pitch. That's a huge part. So yes, mechanics are important, but the more that you can work on your vision training, doing different drills, putting different colored dots on tennis balls. That's a great way and to try to train your eye to really pick up the speed, spin, and location of a pitch. It's going to help you identify the pitch better and adjust sooner. This was the next day, I believe. Goes to her launch position, right about there. Front shoulder down and in. This pitch was middle out. And you can kind of see that elbow working further away from her body. So that position right there is a totally different elbow position than what we saw, how she was super tight to her body when she was hitting that inside pitch earlier. It's that good launch position right there. Front shoulder down and in. Weight pretty well centered. She's maintained her torso tilt. You can see there's a little bit of wrinkle in her jersey right there because her hips are starting to turn. She's going forward, but her hands are still back. Knob is kind of down towards the catcher. You'll see on outside pitches, this is a middle out pitch, you'll see sometimes hitters are a little bit more straighter with that bottom hand. And that's fine as long as they aren't doing that consistently on every single pitch. You saw on the inside pitch she had a little bit more bend. There's going to be times where hitters are going to adjust and they're going to have that bottom hand elbow a little bit more locked out. But as long as we're adjusting to different pitches in versus out, and she's not taking this particular swing on an inside pitch, if she were to take this swing and have that bottom hand elbow super straight, and this was an inside pitch, she probably would end up pulling it a little bit too far foul, not staying inside the ball. But this was an outside pitch, so she had a little bit more torso tilt, had some more lean, kind of over her back foot, became weightless. Belt buckle is towards the pitcher before contact, hitting the bottom half of the ball for another home run. And you can kind of see this idea, this trajectory, this launch angle here. You see this ball come in at that angle, and then it leaves at that angle. Really important that you understand that in order to hit a ball to the fence and over the fence, you can't have that ball coming off of the bat at that type of an angle out here. That's going to be a ground ball, or probably caught by an infielder. So when you're hitting off of a tee, we should be replicating something similar. Now maybe, if you're 12 years old, you're not going to have this type of launch angle because you can't hit the ball as far as she can. So you would probably be more in this range. But just keep in mind when you're hitting off of a tee, so say there's a tee right here and you're hitting it, the ball should not be going straight into the net. You should have some kind of angle working upwards, because that's going to be the doubles and the gaps and those home runs. If you have the ball coming straight this way into the net, your attack angle, how you're going towards the ball, is probably working down or flat, and we should be working slightly up, and then having that ball work slightly up as well. Again, maybe not this high, unless you're able to hit close to that 70-mile-an-hour exit speed range of the ball. But we don't want to be practicing ground balls. So even if you're a younger hitter, don't be hitting off of a tee. If this is the tee, don't have that ball hit right here. We should have some angle slightly up, and that's going to help you, practice the correct angle that we want to have, and that's going to be dependent on the height of the pitch as well. So those are my thoughts on her swing. I think she's got some great stuff going on here. So I'm excited to see the rest of her career at Arizona.